Criticism in this promotion. Minority in the Jiangxi province of southeast China have been now advised to replace the image of Jesus Christ with that of President Xi Jinping. With that logic, the Jesus Christ would not pull the poor Christians out of their poverty, but President Xi Jinping could. On the back of this logic, the Christian poor in the Jiangxi province have been asked to take down the images of Jesus Christ, the crucifixes and rosary beads, and instead replace them with the posters of President Xi Jinping. What has drawn sharp criticism in this promotion of the cult of Xi Jinping is that those who do not replace the images of Jesus Christ with that of Xi Jinping will not be provided with the poverty alleviation policies of the government. Services and funding by the Chinese government also, in fact, included as a penalty for not conforming to that norm. The Jiangxi province has more than 11 million members of the Christian community who live in abject poverty. According to some surveys, members of the Christian community across the whole of China is about 19 million, which outnumbers the total membership of the Communist Party in the country. President Xi Jinping, in the promotion of his personality cult, is trying to recreate a similar practice where after the Cultural Revolution in China, people used to hang up the posters of Mao Zedong. In a bizarre step to bolster the cult of Xi Jinping, the Christian
investigations reveal the market for aborted body parts is significant in the industry. CNS reporter Terry Jeffrey has been tracking the practice for years. He joins us now with more on this practice. So, Terry, tell us about the federal contract of $13 million for the University of California at San Francisco.
Right. So the National Institutes of Health has a long-running contract with the University of California at San Francisco. It's a 7-year contract. It's optionally renewable each year. The next renewal date is December 5th of this year. It's got 2 more years on it. But according to the solicitation that the NIH put out for this contract, the contractor is required to produce 2 different types of quote-unquote humanized mice. And each of these 2 types of humanized mice need to be made with human fetal liver and thymus. And they have to make 1 cohort, so to speak, of each of these mice each month, one of them being 50 mice that are made from 1 donor baby, and another being up to 40 mice made from 1 donor baby. So if the contract follows the solicitation, which, by the way, I published with my story, then the contractor, UCSF, would have to get tissue from 2 late-term aborted babies every month to make these mice for the federal government that is contracted for them to be made.
So how common is this medical research? They need the tissue to make humanized mice?
Yes, it's very common. The NIH itself estimates that in fiscal year 2018 that just ended, they spent $103 million on research using human fetal tissue. This year, they're estimating they're going to spend about $95 million. UC San Francisco is by no means the only medical school or research institute around the country that is getting federal money either through a contract or a grant to make these kind of mice. They're being made all over the country. And I will say in the literature that people at UCSF who are working under this contract have put out in medical journals, they describe what type of mouse that they transplant with human fetal intestine that comes from babies that they say were aborted for non-medical reasons in an elective termination at 18 to 24 weeks gestation. Another type of mouse that they make under this contract, they say they were making with human fetal liver and thymus from babies at 20 to 24 weeks of gestation. So we're talking about organs that come from babies who are aborted in late term in order to allow this federally funded research, in this case under a federal contract, to go forward.
Why is the federal government continuing to make these grants? Are there not alternatives?
Well, one of the things I asked 16 specific questions to HHS, which oversees the NIH, about this particular contract. They didn't answer my specific questions, but they did give me a statement, which I published in full. And in the statement, they did point out that there's one program they're sponsoring right now to try and make these kind of mice with umbilical cord blood and see if that works. Now, the type of mouse, and hopefully that will work, because then they wouldn't need an aborted baby to make these mice. But the type of mice this contract calls for specifically requires human fetal liver and thymus, and at those ages of gestation that I talked about that they mentioned in their literature.
All right, Terry Jeffrey, thank you so much for your work. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
La receta secreta de la Coca-Cola, la bebida más popular y famosa del mundo, y guardada celosamente por los propietarios de la empresa refresquera desde 1886. Al parecer dejó de ser un misterio, ya que se asegura, fueron descubiertos los ingredientes y su forma de preparación en una página de periódico olvidada. De café. Según se afirma, la fórmula secreta para la elaboración del refresco se encontraba en la fotografía que ilustraba un artículo sobre la historia de la Coca-Cola, publicada en un periódico en el año de 1979. El artículo recibió poca atención en ese tiempo, y esto debido a que nadie se dio cuenta de que la fotografía utilizada para ilustrar la nota es una copia escrita a mano de la receta original de John Pemberton, escrita por un amigo en un libro de cuero de recetas de ungüentos y medicinas, y pasado de amigos a familiares por generaciones. La larga historia de la fórmula secreta de la coca comienza con Pemberton, un veterano de Georgia que salió de la guerra civil con una adicción a la morfina. Esperando curar su padecimiento, inventó el vino francés Coca de Pemberton, una bebida que incluía nuez y vino de cola.